Hey guys, welcome to our IELTS podcast. This is the speaking session whereby we try to answer the questions, sample questions, as you can see here on the screen. So the first question about this topic, which is work or study. Work or study is our topic for today. So do you work or are you a student? Do you work or are you a student? By definition or by classical definition, I'm not a student, but I'm still considering myself as a student of life because I'm always learning new things. But I'm a tutor. I'm teaching business and academic English at different levels, also other languages. As a polyglot, my life is around the languages. So this is what I do in daily basis when it comes to self-improvement and also helping others to acquire the skills that I've been able to acquire in less than 15 years. So in general, that's what I'm doing. Why did you choose this job or this subject? Well, I went to engineering school. Engineering was interesting enough, like electronics engineering, etc. But I still had a thing for languages. I really loved understanding culture, understanding people, especially when I went for university in Turkey, where I had to study Turkish because my university was offering all these engineering courses in Turkish. So from that point, I understood that I loved and I could quickly learn languages and I had passions and what it took for learning languages. In the meanwhile, as a student, in order to survive, I was giving English classes to young people, also young adults. And later on, I improved that into business and academic level languages, and I've seen a lot of success since then. So, this subject came with me having to take engineering classes in Turkish. That's when I decided to also learn other languages because I found them very interesting. Do you enjoy your work or studies? Why or why not? I totally do because it's something that I love doing. I found this passion a little bit late, but ever since I've been able to learn up to 7 languages. So it's very joyful because it's something that I really wanted from the deepest part of my heart. But what's more important is that I've turned this passion of mine into work. So I both enjoy when I'm doing the work and when I'm learning just for fun. So as I said before, my life being surrounded around things that I love has helped me to be more successful and become more and more effective in all these languages over years. Question number 4. What's the most interesting part of your work or studies? I think the most interesting part of my work is meeting different people. I think if I were working for a company or starting my own company as an engineer, I would probably have an opportunity to meet a lot of people, but these people wouldn't be as much as international as much as I wanted. Because when you're communicating in tech, you only speak the tech language, probably a little bit with business. But what I'm doing right now helps me to meet people from all walks of life, from teachers, engineers, doctors, from different countries, Spain, Middle East, United States. So I'm all connected all over the world, and my work touches everyone all over the world. And I have a luxury of understanding and learning cultures due to the languages that I'm speaking, including some of the most popular languages such as Spanish and Chinese, which takes a huge percent of the world's population. So being able to speak these languages and communicating with the people from those countries or those regions has actually changed my perspective towards life. Question number 5, which is also the last question for this speaking part 1. Are there any changes you'd like to make to your job or cause? Yes, I love to have, which is not very easy, but I wish I could do things faster because with many languages comes more opportunities, and sometimes I'm being caught in between deciding which path to follow. Because if you understand mathematics, especially for I who have been through engineering school and dealt with maths his whole life. I know like combinations and permutations. So you know what kind of combination can come from seven, and with the language, it's language to language, that is like seven, and then is language to another language, and that is 1 to 7. You have to do that like 7 times again. So it's kind of like you have a lot of things that you can do, but you feel like you don't have time. And even if you try to do all of them, you don't feel like you're gonna be efficient enough. So you're caught in between trying to decide which one is what and which one is not, which takes a very long time. And sometimes in the middle of your decision while you're doing something else might feel very attractive. So you have to be very patient into just ignoring some opportunities so that you can focus on what you're doing right now. So yeah, that's it. So guys, as you have seen, that's a sample examples of the answers from the speaking part one. So what I want to advise you whenever you are studying for your IELTS speaking exam, first of all, start with simple things. These kind of questions are very easy. And we are going to have about 50 different topics on this part one. Be patient, don't jump from part to part. Just because you could answer a few questions or a few topics on part one doesn't mean that you have to go direct to part two. So if you have time, try to study all 50 topics first. Try to understand them, try to answer them by yourself. If you can record yourself and see how you're doing, this is the best option. And then later, you can move on to part two and part three. Why do I say part two and part three? Even though they consisted the largest percentage of the exam combined or even differently, like when you treat parts two and part three differently, they are super, super important. But this part are usually relative to each other. They are connected to each other. So what you're being asked in part two is similar questions that are going to appear in part three. That's why in this podcast, I'm going to combine part two and part three. Like once you have the part two question, you're also going to have a part three question. So you're going to start them independently. So before you jump to part two and part three, which I have said I'm going to consider them as one thing, I want you to make sure that you're really good and you are ready for the first part. Obviously, the questions doesn't directly start by asking you about work or study, so you have to know how to introduce yourself, something which you have been doing your whole life. But when you're preparing for this examination, please go back and try to introduce yourself a little bit, talking a little bit about yourself, including saying your name, saying your surname. Probably they wanted to confirm that, maybe showing your ID or confirming your ID, depending on what kind of environment you're taking your exam. So with that being said, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video, whereby we're going to discuss a different topic, which is hometown. So get ready, get prepared for this part, and make sure that you start the first part effectively before you move to the second part. So take care of yourself, and I'm looking forward to seeing you.